Hey everyone, Jessie here from My Life in Arts and Crafts, and today I'm doing a collab with Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. So for today we are making a card, sketched themed cards. I'm using the Crazy Birds from Tim Holtz. I do have this video on super fast play because otherwise it would have taken a long time to upload. I have my die cuts already done. They are cut out using the coordinating dies out of some 90-pound watercolor cardstock. I also am using the Main Street Parade paper collection by Samantha Walker for my pattern paper. Now, I made that one with the cat, and then I decided I really didn't like it, so I'm making another one. But it's the same sketch and the same theme, so now I have extra cards. So I am also using Brusho Color Crystals. I just got these in the mail. When I had to refilm this video, I got super excited because I could use these. So I'm using Scarlet Red and Brilliant Red to make this watercolor panel piece. And this piece is cut to 4 by 2 3/4. Now I'm just going to make my card base. This is a top folding card from Nina Solar White cardstock. This is the 80-pound because I haven't found my 110-pound cardstock yet. It's somewhere in a box for moving. I also have some sapphire cardstock from Close to My Heart, and this is cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And now my pattern panel is cut to 2 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then I also have that strip of gold glitter cardstock from Close to My Heart, and that is cut to 7/8 inch wide by 5 inches tall. Now for this little circle, I am using the ultramarine and the black. And I just wet that circle down and then let the colors do what they wanted to. That circle was cut out of a circle stackable from Lawn Fawn, just a regular circle stackable, not stitched or cross-stitched or anything like that. So I'm just going to dovetail the end of my glitter cardstock, and I love the Close to My Heart glitter cardstock. It doesn't fleck off, it's a nice weight, and it cuts beautifully in die cutting machines. Now, you can see the difference between the two cards that I have right here that I am using to figure out where this piece goes. That one, I made the banner a little bit skinnier on the one on the right, but I really like how they both turned out. They're both kind of more whimsical. Now, if you didn't have glitter cardstock, you could just use a piece of washi tape instead. That would work. So now I'm going to show you how I stamp on my die cut images. You can see I have a piece of Post-it, and I put my stamp just on that Post-it. I pick up my stamp, and now I'll just ink it up gently with whatever color on that Post-it note, and then I cover it into a glue pen. Now I'm going to wait for it to dry, and once it's dry, I can put my die cut directly on top of it, especially with these ones that the die cut is the same size as the image. It never fails that if I try to die cut after I stamp, I always mess up. So I die cut it first and then let the two-way glue pen dry over top of it. Now I'm just getting all the other stamps on so that I can stamp it all at one time. So I picked up my stamps, and now I am going to put this little bird. And I decided not to use this little bird. I used the little fat bird. But you can see how easy it is to position that on top of there. Now the black lines are completely gone, so it will line up perfectly. So all I have to do is ink up my stamp and then press it down. And now it's perfectly aligned. Now I can just peel that off because it's a Post-it note. It doesn't matter, I can just throw it away. Alright, so now that I have all my die cuts stamped, I decided I was going to use the little fat bird. This was when I decided I wanted to use him because he's cute. I am using some moonstone. I think this is called moonstone. Moonlight for the yellow, and I'm using smoked quartz for the brown, and then eventually I will add some olive jade to his butt. So basically I needed to blend all three of these colors together. So once you add water to them, you do need to work kind of fast because they do dry pretty quickly. But if you weren't adding water, you can blend a little bit longer, but once you add the water, it does become permanent. So I just blended them around, went back and forth between the colors, trying to blend the colors out. When it dried, the yellow did fade pretty well into the green. The brown did not fade so well into the yellow. That one was kind of tricky. But I did end up putting his little bow tie there on his chest, so it it did hide it quite a bit. I also used some, what did I use? I used the Harvest Moon for his beak, and then I ended up using a little bit of pink in his eyes just to give him a little bit of a firework look, because he ends up going on that red watercolor Brusho explosion piece, so it gives him a little bit of color to his eyes, like he's looking at the colors. I did not color his glasses because his glasses were already stamped pretty close to the edge. I did color his hat in with a little bit of smoked quartz and then some, which one did I use? I think I used ultramarine. I either used ultramarine on his band on his hat, or I used moonstone. See, that's where moonstone is. Moonstone is the blue, not the yellow. I used some Starry Sky for the blue in the flag, and then the red in the flag was a clean color real brush, pen, marker in Carmine Red, and then same with the bow. I used Carmine Red, real brush, because I didn't want it too glittery, and a little bit of Solar Red. So I did go back and forth. I used a couple different sizes of brushes. I used a really tiny brush and then a larger brush for blending out the body. And I realized when I did his hat and when I put it on his head, I actually put his hat on wrong, because that inside piece on the bottom, I should have probably made a slit to slide it over his little hair fluff so that it looked like it was actually on his head rather than just floating. But that'll be our secret. Nobody will have to know. So I did have a lot of fun coloring with these Spectrum Noir glitter pens. I think they're definitely one of my favorite things to color with because I do like that brush feel. So for the hat, you can see I just kind of put a little bit of color on the edges and then faded them into each other. And this is a really pretty brown when you use it just as one color rather than blending to other colors. It gives it kind of like a purpley brown kind of feel, which is really nice. And I just kind of mess around with markers and get them out of the way now. So now we will assemble our card. So as far as assembling our card goes, I have that circle that's nice and dry now. And again, that had the Brusho just on the circle, which was black, and the ultramarine blue. And you can see how many different colors I got for that, because the black is made up of all the colors. It gives a nice mix of colors, kind of like a little explosion, which I thought was kind of fun. Since it's a 4th of July card, it looked like a firework. That's cute. So there's all my pieces. They're all dry. I left them sit for a while and I came back and I did have most of that card assembled. So now I'm going to put that circle on. When you're using watercolor pieces, you want to make sure you use a lot of adhesive because they're quite warped unless you run them through a die cut machine and just flatten them out. And plus I'm going over that glitter cardstock. I need to make sure it's going to be really stuck down. So I just adhered that circle because just the edge is going to peek out. And then I'm going to adhere my little watercolor panel using some foam tape. And I just get mine in a giant roll on Amazon and then cut it into pieces how I need it. So like I said, I'm using a lot of adhesive because it's a watercolor panel and I want it to stay stuck. So I'm just going to put that on there, kind of center it between the top and the bottom, and then just a little bit off the side, just to give it some fun layers and some fun dimension. And now I have that little cute bird and his little flag. So I'm going to use some art glitter glue, which I get from May's shop. I'll have links to that below. And then just put my little bird down. I'm going to grab my tweezers. The camera makes my arm look very orange. So I'm just going to put that down with my tweezers so that I can position it good. Kind of have him kind of over to the side. I really like the Brushos and the color crystals. I just think they're really fun. And we'll just put a little hat on him. So this is where I noticed that maybe that hat should have kind of had a slit in it so that it didn't look like it was just kind of floating on top of him. But that's alright. And for my little glasses, I'm going to use a 2-way glue pen. I thought he looked super cute with his little glasses on. Made him look super dapper. And I'll put a little bow tie on him. The one thing I think I would change is I would probably make the bow tie a different color if I was to redo this card, redo it exactly, because the red kind of got lost with the red in the burst of watercolor. And then I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out where I was going to put this flag, so I ended up just deciding to put it up there in the corner. But that is my card, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.